Welcome to episode 1422 of The Sleeper and the Bust. I am Justin Mason, joined as always on Sundays by Jason Collette. How you doing, my friend?
All right, man. Good to talk to you 2 days in a row. This is fun.
I know. Yeah, we had a lot of fun yesterday on the Ordinary Effort live stream. We put together a pretty good grid. I think we did pretty well.
We did, and we'll put the link in the show notes to the if you want to see the entire thing. I mean, it was 12. Josh and Mike did a fundraiser for ALS, and they got to their goal, and they did 12 hours. And as Justin commented to them, pretty awesome that they did 12 hours, because Justin's done. I've never done that. I've just helped participate. That's not the link I wanted to put in. That's the wrong link. It is this link in the chat. This is the one you want. That's the YouTube stamp with the timestamp to the session that Justin and I did. So go check it out and see how we did, and we talked some baseball history stuff. But I encourage y'all to go and look at some of the other ones. Like Tyler Kepner did a session, Jessica Brand did a session that was very well received, and hopefully y'all learned some stuff. As Justin said, he wanted to get more into a history major who loves baseball, and those two paths don't cross that often. And so we were just talking off air how Justin needs to he wants to step that up, and it's how I get my daily activity, going on Immaculate Grid and trying to think through things, and then seeing the results that other people put in the Ordinary Effort Discord channel. And I learn something every day, and that's what's important. Always be learning.
There you go. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. They raised a lot of money for ALS. So definitely go check that out over on their YouTube. And like Jason said, it'll be in the show notes kind of description, the links, if people want to go and check that out. We have a lot of FAAB today. It is not an amazing FAAB weekend, but it is much better than last weekend. But first, let's start off with some injury news. Daulton Varsho left yesterday's game while we were on the air with those guys over at the Ordinary Effort podcast with a leg injury. They're calling it, I think, hamstring tightness. Are you worried about Daulton Varsho?
Yes, this is not good. They just lost Anthony Santander to the IL, and they called up. They brought back Alan Roden to close that gap. And with Varsho, he had a delay coming off the IL with the shoulder issue, because they wanted to make sure he could throw. And with this particular issue, he could go right back to the IL. And the timing wise could be just about perfect, because Andres Jimenez is supposed to be activated from the IL possibly today, if not tomorrow. They did actually. I take that back. They've already put Daulton Varsho on the IL, and they brought back David Schneider. No interest in Schneider at all. Andres Jimenez coming back. If it's the version that we saw in March, cool. If it's the version we saw after April 1st, no thanks with that situation. So they've already made the call. I'm a bit worried with this one. We know hamstrings take a little bit longer. It's unfortunate because Varsho was showing some nice power. The batting average wasn't there, but Varsho was getting it done just as the Toronto offense was just starting to heat up. And now you look at the pieces and the bottom half. Oh, there's still one guy that I particularly like down there, but the bottom half of that lineup just thinned itself out a bit.
Yeah, I'm assuming Roden's the guy you particularly like down there.
No, it's somebody else that we have. I mean, Roden, he's already come up and didn't show much. It was disappointing because he was somebody that I was grabbing in a few places. His OBP chops. Now he's done well in AAA since being sent down. And he's going to be, I would assume, looking at the depth chart, this is just going to be a platoon situation. Maybe Miles Straw gets more playing time, and I don't know if that's a great thing. Defensively, sure, but offensively, I don't know if it's a great thing for Miles Straw to get more playing time. My AL labor roster will take it because I need the playing time there, but I could just see this whole situational platoon. Maybe Addison Barger can get some more time in right field and show off that arm situation there. So I see like Bichette and Vladdy and Kirk and Springer and pretty much the guy that I'd like, Ernie Clement, in everyday roles, and everybody else is going to be Platoon City.
Why don't we talk about Ernie Clement then real quick? He was already on the kind of list just because of all these injuries in Toronto. Why do you like him as a pickup this week?
He's been hitting. Look over. I was looking. So I did some work over at RotoWire, subbed in for the podcast, and was just looking at how things have gone. And he has been hitting of late. Like over the last 14 days, I mentioned as that offense has been stepping up. he's been stepping up, and he's got 2 home runs this week already. He's driven in 8-9 runs here over the past 10 days. He's not running, but he's getting on base. He's scoring some runs. He's driving. He drove 5 in the other day against Oakland. I'm going to still say Oakland, whatever. He drove in. So he's doing a little bit of everything except stealing, but he's hitting for average. But he's on a bit of a heater, and he's got that positional flexibility, which we love to have. And so when Todd and I were doing the RotoWire free agent podcast yesterday and looking for guys that were low percentage owned, Ernie Clement just jumped off the page as somebody who's playing well, who is on the free agent pile.
And he's multi-positional eligible in most leagues, eligible at third, second, and short, I believe, in most formats. I think this is a really interesting guy to pick up in terms of, adding positional flexibility. There isn't a ton in the bat, right? Like he doesn't have a ton of power. He doesn't have a ton of speed, but he does make a ton of contact. He's got a 92.6% zone contact. Yep. He's always been a high contact guy. So might be a good source of batting average here moving forward. 278 batting average with a 273 XBA. So pretty close there. Yeah, like I think you could do much worse, especially in a 15-team league, than a guy like Ernie Clement right now, which is why he was on the rundown. And now that we know that Varsho's going to the IL. Another guy I just want to mention, Jonathan Clauset. Probably going to be an everyday player while Varsho is out in center field. And he has speed, just a crap ton of speed. So if you were one of the people who maybe lost Simpson this week because he got sent down to the IL, and we'll be talking about that here in a little bit more depth in a little bit, you could maybe find yourself gaining back some of that speed with Clauset, who, like I said, should be playing regularly in center field for the Blue Jays here for the next week or two.
Yeah, Toronto, schedule-wise, Toronto has 3. They're hosting Philadelphia for 3, and then they go to Minnesota for 3 this week. Yeah. So it's a 6-game week with, honestly, some kind of tough pitching. So we'll see what the offense. I mean, they've enjoyed beating up a little bit on a softer part of their schedule pitching-wise, but I mean, maybe they get Taijuan Walker in that Philly series. That'll help. But Minnesota has been pitching well. I don't know if folks saw the Zebby Matthews start the other night. Give up 4 runs in the first and 6 shutout after that. That was impressive. Yeah. Really nice to see a kid bounce back from a tough first inning and come out and shove for 6 innings after that.
And actually go 6 innings, which is the really important
which is a miracle for Minnesota. It's like you get to 18. It's like, all right, bye, see ya. But no, they stuck with him, and that's how well he was pitching.
That was the most intriguing part for me, was the fact that they actually let him go that deep into the game.
Hey, Zach Littell threw a complete game yesterday with 115 pitches. Talk about like Kevin Cash. What?
Yeah, that's weird. Speaking of Toronto and injuries, you did mention Anthony Santander. He has been put on the IL, I believe with a shoulder injury. Now, Santander has been terrible, like absolutely terrible this season. Hitting 197, 273, 304. I'm sure he's pretty much not rostered already in 10 and 12 team leagues. But if you were holding on to him in a 15 team league, are you still holding on to him?
Man, I don't know. This would be I've already made some tough cuts in some leagues, so I could make this cut. I mean, like you said, terrible, hitting 179. He's got 6 home runs. Shoulder issues don't exactly help you when you're trying to hit for power. And I know what, like most smart people were trying to run away from this one in the offseason. You knew he was going to regress, but nobody, I don't care who you are, nobody saw this level of regression coming to him. You were taking Santander at the market price if he fell. I don't know too many people that were targeting him, expecting more of a fallback to like 2023 numbers. But I mean, this is oof. I mean, even the projections, looking at the projections, we have anything from 16 to 20 home runs the rest of the way. The bat is still very much in love with 24 home runs the rest of the season. So I would say it depends on which projection system you lean at. If you lean at Steamer with 16 home runs and 235, you could probably build that off the waiver wire the rest of the way. And if you look at the bat with 24 home runs and 246, maybe that's a little tough to replace.
Yeah, and I wonder if the bat hasn't been updated since he's gone on the IL too, because
It's a big difference in plate appearances.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost 100 more plate appearances than like ATC. So I
just
think
noticed that as you were saying that.
Yeah, I think I would drop him. Maybe try to hold on to him for, through this weekend to see whether or not we get a more concrete timeline in terms. But you got to wonder too, like, have the struggles been an issue because of the shoulder, right? Like, is he having these issues because he's been trying to battle through this injury and they finally said, hey, we need to get you healthy. So I'm pretty tentative on keeping him. I think I would probably just drop and move on.
Yeah, typically when you see this level of a drop off at this age, I mean, if this was somebody like with Marcus Semien, we were talking on Blue Sky, Doug Dennis and I were having back and forth. It's like maybe this is the tax of playing every single day for like 5 straight seasons, and he's in his mid-30s, and all of a sudden it's that Dale Murphy aging curve that Semien's into. But Tony Taters is only 30 years old. This isn't old. So it's just like, if somebody has this type of drop off, and Jeff Zimmerman does a great job of writing about these things every year. It's like, who had a big drop off and what injury finally came out? It's like, as you were just saying too, this could have been one of those things he's been trying to play through, much like Yordan Alvarez and this stupid hand of his, where he was trying to play through it. And then they finally put him on the IL. Are we talking about that, or can we talk a little more about that?
Yeah, we can talk about that because they did announce yesterday that he has a fracture in his hand, which is the first time.
I read a story this morning on that Chandler Rome wrote on The Athletic, and here's the crazy part about all this. So he went on the IL with the hand thing on May 3rd, and they said initially he had a strain, that this was a strain in his wrist. Well, it turns out in this article, they unearthed that they've only taken 2 images of his hand, the one they did on May 3rd and the one that revealed this fracture. How in the hell did they let this guy take batting practice on Friday against live minor? They called up 2 minor league pitchers from Sugarland, apparently, or brought him in somewhere, and they had him do live BP, and he hit a laser, hit some home runs, was hitting lasers, but he still felt some discomfort. Then they go in for an x-ray, and it's like, oh, your fracture is only 60% healed. How was that not hey, before you do batting practice, let's check on the progress of your hand to see how things are going? And on the heels of how they screwed up Kyle Tucker's injury last year, where they kept saying it was shin splints, and all of a sudden, no, it's a fracture. It's like, I don't understand what's going on. And even in the article, Chandler Rome points out that James Clear admitted to some things and like, hey, we did do an investigation. Then the Astros fired him. So he never had the chance to run the audit of like, hey, what are we doing? But the Astros have had a lot of issues with health maintenance of their players. And this is just the latest, because I mean, the news 4 or 5 days ago was his return was imminent. And now it's like, we're probably a few more weeks away because they just got around to taking a second x-ray.
It's probably like a month away. You're probably having to hold on for another month, and obviously you're not dropping, but this is really, really frustrating because like how if the results of like the first x-ray was inconclusive because there's too much swelling or something like that, why are you not taking another one as soon as swelling goes down, as soon like you said, before he starts taking batting practice? Like this is insanity. Like I said, you're not dropping him or anything like that, but the results of this new imaging says that the fracture is about 60% healed, according to Julia Morales, and that he's going to be shut down until the fracture is fully healed. They're
going to take another x-ray this time around, and
you would assume so, but who knows?
I'm afraid to get an x-ray done, and they're going to find a fracture in my face from 2019 from the scooter accident. And all kidding aside, I'm dealing with an injury on one of my dogs. My dog has a follow-up appointment, so they can check on that this week. And like my dog's getting better treatment than Yordan Alvarez is right now. I don't understand what's happening in Houston with things. And this is just crazy to me that your quote unquote franchise slugger is being cleared to run batting practice without actually checking on his hand.
Yeah, it is absolutely ridiculous. Speaking of Houston, this gives us a good little segue into Zach DeZenzo, who has been who left the game yesterday with an injury. How worried are you on him?
They appear to be worried because they sent. Let's see. Chas McCormick went down, and they brought up Shea Whitcomb, and then they're gonna looks like Zach DeCenzo's going down, and they're bringing up what's the guy's name? Jacob Melton. So like they're bringing up multiple guys. Houston's had a rough weekend. My Rays have laid it to them on Thursday and Saturday around Framber Valdez pitching one of the best games I've ever seen on Friday night, and so it is Houston's and. It's just been a rough stretch. And, we say all this, we always want to kick dirt on this team, and yet they continue to make it back. Mm-hmm. They win the AL West, right? But I don't know how. It's like they're so front-loaded right now. It's Pena, Paredes, and Altuve, and then it's a pretty big drop-off from there, especially Christian Walker. He's a perfect fit for Dayron Field, whatever they're calling that thing now. Mm-hmm. And it's been anything but a perfect fit. He looks terrible, and and it's been that situation. But I am between Melton and Shea Whitcomb coming up their Astros. I'm most excited about Whitcomb. He's having a monster season down in AAA. And he's had a really hot month of May, and he's showing more offensive potential right now. I'm curious to see where last night he snuck in and pinch hit. I don't know. The lineup hasn't been released today, so I haven't seen if he's in yet today. But Whitcomb has had a pretty big season down in AAA. And he's already been up once, but you look at his numbers. He's got 18 home runs, 37 runs, 38 RBIs, and hitting 275 with 21% strikeout rate, 10% walk rate, and some of that's going to be ABS influenced in AAA. But he's showing some potential. I was in my home league. We do FAAB on Saturday night, and I won him for $13 on a $100 budget last night. So I was kind of aggressive because I have Yordan Alvarez in that league. So I had him in my lineup, expecting him to be called up, and then the news broke, and so I decided to get a little aggressive and get Whitcomb in there. And I have Whitcomb as one of my reserves in AL Labor that we drafted back in late February. So I get to use him now with that.
Yeah, I mean, Whitcomb's having a fantastic season right now in AAA so far. In 235 plate appearances, he has 18 home runs, 6 stolen bases, in 275, 375, 599. Yeah, like he's been really, really good. And the really impressive part about him, he's always been kind of a high strikeout guy who struggles to make contact within the zone. That has not been a problem over the course of the last 2 years between AAA and the majors, where he's pretty much made at least league average contact, but usually better. 89.8% in the majors last year in zone contact. This year in AAA, 88.9% zone contact, which are great numbers. So the question is he going to play enough to matter?
When you look at that lineup to see where things are, like I said, the top 3 is pretty much locked in, and Cam Smith has been playing better. I've seen some of his at-bats this week. Cam Smith looks like he's getting settled in there. And then center field, Jake Myers is playing. Jake Myers is there defensively. So right now, the playing time to me is probably going to be DH. Right now, they've been DHing Victor Caratini. And then Caratini, when he plays catcher, Yanner Diaz has been DHing. So for me, that's probably where the path forward is for playing time, is there for the moment, because everything else kind of looks locked in unless they start benching Christian Walker. But they keep hitting Walker cleanup. Despite all of his struggles, Christian Walker has hit cleanup every day this week that he's played.
Yeah, I just have a hard time seeing where kind of the opening on a regular basis comes for Whitcomb. Also, you mentioned like Jacob Melton. We can move into the FAAB portion of things and talk about Jacob Melton, who's another Houston guy who's coming up. Melton's a prospect of note that the Astros have. Their number 1 prospect in their org, 48th overall according to Fangraphs. There's power and there's a good amount of speed. The question is, will he make enough contact to unlock things? He has been making a lot of contact in the minor leagues this year, hitting 253, 371, 508 with 2 home runs and 3 stolen bases and 71 plate appearances. Is he going to have enough playing time to kind of figure things out? Or is what we're going to see kind of like a platoon situation between the two, maybe at the DH position?
Yeah, it may be that way. I mean, to me, the clearest thing is DH. Then, if they want to get creative and give Christian Walker some time off and say, look, we're going to try to get your confidence back and put you in the best position. And like I said, Cam Smith I felt like he's looked better, but then like he had a hitting streak broken up on Friday night, but then he was on a nice run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits and 7 straight, and hits in 8 of his last 10. I mean, he's been putting up the hits. What he hasn't been doing is hitting the home runs, and he has 3 extra base hits. So he's really not, it's singles, and he's doing that, but he's not driving the ball, not doing that. So perhaps that's where they're going to try to shuffle between DH and right field and try to figure this out, because Jacob Meyer's defense in center is going to keep him in center. And Altuve is going to stay in left field. He's played second base when DeCenza was played left field. And so maybe that they can find some time there. As we're talking through all this, I don't know how any of these names are definitely not 10 and 12 mixed viable. 15 really depends on your situation. This is really kind of more mono league play, honestly.
I'm interested to see when the lineup comes out today where Altuve is playing, because he played second base yesterday. So is this the start of moving Altuve back to second base?
Yeah, possibly. Because
that could open up a spot there in the outfield for like a Jacob Melton or a Whitcomb. But if we get that kind of update on their lineup today before
Astros lineup's not out yet.
Yeah, I just
Rays have put theirs, but the Astros is not out yet.
So if we get an update on their lineup while we're talking, we'll kind of swing back to it. But let's keep it moving. We'll go ahead and talk about Abraham Toro, who's getting a lot of playing time at first base right now with all the injuries there in Boston. Any interest in Abraham Toro?
I do, because I do have him I picked him up last week in a league because he's playing, and when he's playing, he's played 5 of the last 6. And this, when I'd say I picked him up in an AL league. You know, he's played first base he's hitting cleanup today and playing first, and then he's played first 4 of the past 5 days when he has played. So he's in there playing time. It's just the Boston situation. I don't know what to make of that. I really don't. I mean, they got shut out yesterday by Atlanta. And 1 of 6. By the way, yesterday we had 6 shutouts in Major League Baseball. Then we had 4 teams put up 11 plus.
They were going up against Spencer Schwellenbach. So how could you know?
But I mean, the Boston offense is all over the place. Like my godson turned 23 yesterday, so I sent him a text. I'm like, "Happy birthday! Sorry, your team didn't score 16 runs today," because he's a big Boston fan. But it's the situation. Then I saw something Red Sox Stats sent out a spray chart today showing Trevor Story batted ball, his spray chart on batted ball on pitches above 85 miles an hour, and they're all to center and right field, and all of his pull shots are off-speed pitches, and that kind of sums up Trevor Story this season. But then they call up Nate Eaton. Everybody wants him to call up Roman Anthony, and they call up Nate Eaton. And I'm like, can they have Nate Eaton pitch? Because Nate Eaton can throw. Nate Eaton's got an arm. I don't know if people recall Nate Eaton pitching as a position player with the Royals, but he pitched in college and he throws in a low 90s. So maybe Nate Eaton can pitch. But this roster is, I mean, as I told my godson, I just start playing the kids. Call up the kids, play the kids, because this is not a team that is going to compete for a wild card. If this team holds the way this is, I don't see how this team is playing meaningful baseball in mid-September.
I don't understand how they have not called up Roman Anthony. Roman Anthony is hitting 305, 435, 500 with 8 home runs and 3 stolen bases in AAA this season, striking out at 21% clip while walking at a 19% clip. Making, good contact in the zone, not swinging outside of, he is doing everything he needs to do offensively, unless there's a defensive issue that we don't know, but he's supposedly a pretty good defender, right? So I don't know what the holdup is here on bringing up Roman Anthony.
I don't either. It's just, I mean, as a known Red Sox hater, cool, keep doing what you're doing, man. But as somebody as just an analyst, it's like, what are you doing? So I don't get it. And you look at their schedule, what they've got coming up this week. They've got 3 against the Angels and then 3 at New York. So yeah, I'd be interested getting back to the start of this part. Yes, Abraham Toro would be somebody that I would like to have on my roster. I would even consider in a 15, I'm considering him on a week by week basis, but this would be a good week to have him at New York. And then with games against the Angels and their pitching staff.
Yeah, I picked up Toro kind of as a backup last week, and I think I'm just going to stick with him. I think he's the guy, especially 15-team leagues, that should be rostered. He's hitting 296 right now. There isn't a ton of power in the bat, but you're getting to hit in the middle of, what is still a decent lineup here in Boston, though definitely the watered-down version without Bregman being healthy. I still don't understand the Roman Anthony thing. I don't know how they don't have him up yet. All right, let's move over to from a guy who's kind of old and filling in to another prospect getting another shot, and that's Coby Mayo, who made a big impact in the game last night. I don't know if you saw his little tussle with the White Sox, kind of making a bonehead move that caused benches to clear, shove in. I think it was Lennon. Sosa. Yeah. So, but he is back in the majors. This one's gonna go under the radar a little bit. Mayo has been absolutely atrocious in both of his major league samples. In his most recent one, he was only up for 5 games at 16 plate appearances, but hit 133. He's been, better in AAA in terms of the power, but he's still hitting 226, 318, 452. Do you think that he gets enough run here that he's interesting in maybe a deeper league?
First of all, dick move yesterday. Don't ever impersonate AJ Pierzynski.
Mm-hmm.
If folks don't know what I'm talking about, go look at YouTube videos of AJ Pierzynski throwing himself into players and getting the obstruction call because the umpires are like, "Oh yeah, this is hot." No, don't do that. The other thing is he went out of the baseline. If he was in the baseline, fine, but no, he went several steps in the grass. Don't do that. That's terrible. I mean, I remember the last time when we talked about Mayo's call-up, I was very pessimistic. Didn't even think it was going to last long. Sure enough, didn't. But the minor league batted ball data says it's still there, but the major league results say it hasn't been. I'm still not interested in this situation. I really don't know. We were talking, Todd and I were talking, just looking at this lineup. They just had to send Cedric Mullins down. They've lost. You look at what their bench looks like. This looks like a very bad Orioles team that's about to get worse once Mullins comes back, and then they trade O'Hearn, and then they trade Mullins. Then this gets ugly, and perhaps then maybe I'm interested in Mayo because they'll let him come out and play every day, type of situation. But right now, no, I'm not interested. I'll let somebody else spend money because we saw this. What do you go for? He went triple digits last time he was up, and the call up was like 3 days.
Yeah. I think I might put a couple bucks on him. And this is maybe just me wish casting a little bit because I have been really, really high on Mayo, but the power is elite. It's really hard to find power off the wire. And I think they are going to give him a little bit of run here. Now, that being said, they have shown that they really want to play Manuel Rivera for some reason. They also have just kind of like random guys on this roster that they can use. But I think
Cooper Hummel, who they just signed to a major league contract out of nowhere, and Maverick Hanley, who has to be a made up name. He's like the new Tuffy Gosowicz here.
Yeah, so I think there is a lot of risk. Obviously, in 10s and 12s, you're probably not picking him up. But I think in 15s, I'd take the gamble for a few bucks. If you can get him cheap enough, like there's a lot of power upside if he can stick.
He should. I'm going to be in Baltimore. By the way, like 2 weeks from today, I can't make the show because I will be traveling home from. It's Father's Day, but B, I'll be traveling home from Baltimore. But then looking like to your point though, this could be a good week to do that because they've got 3 at Seattle and 3 at Sacramento. Great power environments this year, and so if you want to take a chance and see if Mayo can tap into some of that power, he's got the environments to do it this week.
Yeah. I think I might take the gamble in a few leagues, especially because, like I said, I think he's going to be really cheap. I think he'll be one of these guys you can get for, 10, 15 bucks, something like that. That might be worth a gamble. Let's move on from one corner guy that we don't know how much he's going to play to another one who's working his way back, and that's Christian Encarnacion-Strand. Might be available in some shallower formats, 10s and 12s. Working his way back from a rehab assignment. We know he's got a ton of power and can be a guy who can be really impactful when he's healthy. He's had a really hard time staying healthy Are you going to the wire to pick up Christian Encarnacion-Strand in leagues where he's available?
I know some folks that were grabbing him last week, and so he's not even available at some of the leagues there. I'm just taking a look to see where things are. I mean, I guess the issue is that we just haven't seen him play much at all, and that's kind of the forgotten part. But the easy part is, where does he go in the lineup? Oh yeah, Santiago Espinal is playing third base. There you go. Pardon me. So there's the easy place to get him back in the lineup. So yeah, I would take a chance on it. I would take a chance on. I would actually spend a little bit more than I would on Mayo.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I would spend a considerable more. It's absolutely crushing it so far in AAA, hitting 400, 478, 950 with 2 home runs in his 23 plate appearances during this rehab. We know there's a ton of power, and I think they're going to give him every day playing time when he's up, especially with how beat up they've been off and on throughout this season. So if he's available, he is, I think, the premium pickup, at least offensively, for this week.
And if they play, they're hosting Milwaukee and Arizona. So if he makes it up this week, they're at home all week.
Yep. Thairo Estrada's back. This one actually kind of came out of nowhere. I had not even seen that he was close to getting back, but he is back with the Rockies. He was kind of a popular sleeper guy coming into the season that had that injury, missed a ton of time. He's only played in 2 games so far this season. Obviously, too small of a sample to care about that much, but he's going to play every single day in Colorado. They need people who can actually hit, and he was great during his rehab in AAA in 5 games. Hit 304, 333, 348. No home runs or stolen bases, but are you going to the wire to pick up Thairo Estrada?
So you mentioned his one redeeming skill is that he's going to play every day. That's where things are, because then you look back. So we saw in 2022 and 2023 where he had 20 plus steals. And then last year, offensively, for your Giants, drop off. And so it's like, where's the real guy? He's not going to, there's no way he steals 20 this year with the time he's already missed, but maybe I'm wrong. But then we're coming up on a part of the schedule, like they have Miami. So if he's going to run, now's the time, because Miami is just god awful at controlling the running game. Then he's got the Mets in Colorado. Then he has your Giants go to Colorado, and then the Rockies go to Atlanta and Washington coming up. So schedule wise, pretty decent schedule, but Estrada plays every single day, and that's where his value is right now. Whatever happens from there, because again, the Colorado offense is what it is, and it's just a matter of, if you need playing time, you're looking for plate appearances, yes, but I don't know if any one of these skills is redeemable enough to like, he's going to fix this, he's going to fix that. He's going to fix if you have a part-time guy playing. That's what he's going to fix in your lineup.
Yeah, I think he's going to be an accumulator, right? And the hard part on a guy like Estrada is, like, he's missed so much time. It's hard for him to accumulate a ton of stats, but moving forward, he can. There's a little bit of power. There's a little bit of speed. The problem is the Rockies don't run. They're 28th in baseball in team stolen bases, with only 27 this year. So it's not like all of a sudden Thairo Estrada is going to steal that 20 that you were mentioning, right? Like, he just has missed too much time to get there, like you said. But he can do a little bit of everything. And because he's going to be hitting in probably a decent spot in this lineup and playing every day, I think he should be kind of a priority pickup in 15-team leagues where he's available. I don't know how many of those leagues where he's still available, but he missed quite a bit of time, and he should have been dropped in most 15-team leagues. So I think this is a guy that you should be running out to the wire for. He's like currently available in every single one of my leagues except for my main event. So I think that is a pretty good sign that he's going to be available in a lot of leagues right here.
So when you're as terrible as this team is, why are they not running?
I don't know. I mean,
I was just looking to see if that had really changed. So since Bud Black is fired, they are 3-16, and they have attempted 15 steals and have been caught 6 times. So I only bring that up because last year with the Mariners, Scott Service was very conservative. But when Dan Wilson took over that team, they ran. So I was just curious, like, hey, what's going on since Bud Black? Nope, they're still not running. So, good point by you. And they're also hitting 219 as a team with a 280 on base percentage. Holy crap.
Absolutely terrible. I mean, it is, like I said, I think it was on Friday when Paul and I were recording. I said, like, you're getting to watch history. Like, this is.
Yes. Yeah. You compared it to the Hindenburg. And I was like, oh.
It's, and in many ways, that's being generous, I think. So, Cole Young, prospect for the Mariners, made his debut last night. And he's an interesting prospect that has played pretty well here in AAA, hitting 277, 392, 461, 5 home runs, 4 stolen bases, is a second baseman. I think is going to play a fair amount coming up from the minor leagues. Any interest in Cole Young?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny that it happened because I was listening to the latest Rates and Barrels on I think it was recorded Friday, and I was listening to it yesterday morning while walking the dogs. I took a long walk, so I was able to get Sleeper in the Bus and Rates and Barrels in yesterday because I have 3 dogs and I walk them in pairs. But the puppy gets to go on both of them. So they had Jeff Ponce on from Baseball America, and they were talking about Cole Young and some of the improvements Cole Young's made this season. Then I saw an article on BA this morning from Matt Eddy and pointed out that Cole Young led the minors in runs scored in May with 28. So like he's been doing some things. And then he had a walk-off hit last night situation. So the athleticism has been there. And like I said, he's been really hot in the month of May. And so I'm curious to see how this is going to work out. He was on my waterfall last night. If I didn't get Whitcomb, Cole Young was somebody that I was in there, but I prioritized Whitcomb because of the positional need and the fact it makes a very clean. Since I have Yordan, once he's back, it makes a very clean type of switch there. So yes, of the names we're talking about today, he is. I mean, I still like Ernie Clement more because of I'm going to play every single day and I'm hitting well. But this would be one of the guys that I would be, if I'm doing a waterfall, I don't get Clement. That's the other guy that I want to look at.
Yeah, I think they're going to give him a shot here to play every day at second base and kind of move Dylan Moore back to being that guy that kind of just moves around the diamond and is mostly on the short side of the platoon.
As Dylan Moore's biggest fan, that's
I know
what Dylan Moore should be doing though. It's the
that's
smart
what
move.
Should
be happening. Yes,
and Young doesn't have like a ton of power or a ton of speed, but what he does do is hit the ball. Like he makes a ton of contact. He has like a 92% zone contact in AAA, and these are the kind of guys that I love. A shocker, right? A guy who makes a lot of zone contact, but it gives him the opportunity to get on base a lot, to steal bases. To get lucky. I think Cole Young is a really interesting guy that I don't think will be very expensive in FAAB this weekend. So, hitting in this Mariners lineup, he'll be towards the bottom. They had him batting 8th yesterday. I assume that's where he will kind of stick here. And I haven't seen yet if their lineup is out, but I will double check that while I'm talking. To just kind of be a 15-team accumulator. Again, and I'm not one of these guys that I think you're running the waiver wire in 10 or 12-team leagues. So I think some 12-team leagues make sense for a guy like Young, especially if you need batting average. But and it does not look like the Mariners lineup.
No, it's too early for them, but the Astros lineup is out, and Altuve is playing left. Altuve is playing left field today. Caratini is DHing. Yander Diaz behind the plate. Jacob Melton's playing center field, so they're giving Jake Myers a day off. This is a good matchup on paper for pitching with Hunter Brown versus Taj Bradley. And as I could see why it's like, okay, Myers, let's give a day off. So I'm wondering if they turn the Myers situation into a platoon, because I mean, Myers' bat honestly is not great enough to be an everyday guy, but his defense is. And that's why Myers has been in the lineup every single day. And Mauricio Dubon is playing second base because, Lord help the Astros, they love Mauricio Dubon.
Yeah, I don't get that, but all right.
Guess who's hitting cleanup again today with a 210 average and a 630 OPS? Christian Walker.
There we go, baby. I need Walker to figure things out. He's absolutely killing me in a couple leagues. All right, let's move away from Seattle, move over to Minnesota. Another guy who kind of plays a lot of different positions is Brooks Lee, who this year has played a short, second, and third base for the Minnesota Twins. And, the average hasn't been great, 233, but he's got 4 home runs. He doesn't strike out very much. Where are you at on Brooks Lee?
I like him. And I remember, in doing offseason reading, Keith Law had talked about some of the guys that really stood out to him in camp, and Brooks Lee came up. And Brooks Lee is somebody that I made a trade for in the home league where I've got Yordan Alvarez. I made a deal to get him a few weeks ago, and he's been useful. He's been hitting 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 playing. He's played 5 of the 6 games this week. And so to me, it was just one of these things that I've watched him play a couple of times. I like the swing. I want to say, I haven't looked at it week by week, but recently he's been playing better. So I have not seen where things are on his rolling chart for that. But I like what I've read about the player. I like what I've seen from the player. Results wise, it may not be there yet, but one of these guys, I would say go watch play. And I'm hoping this doesn't turn into I also like Drew Waters when I watch him play. And I like Michael Massey when I've seen him play previously, and that hasn't worked out. But Brooks Lee has the pedigree for this, and the Twins clearly do like him because they're keeping him in the lineup. They're keeping him in the middle of the lineup, even with these pieces coming back. Like Matt Wallner came back yesterday. Matt Wallner hit a home run. Yes. And Brooks Lee is still in there. Now, maybe we were talking the Royce Lewis situation has to be addressed here at some point. And I don't know if they sit him down like the Rangers did with Jake Berger and be like, hey, dude, go across the river, go play St. Paul for 10, 15 days and come back, because Royce Lewis is absolutely killing the Twins. He's killing my fantasy team. I'm sure he's killing one of yours because you drafted him somewhere.
Yeah, he's definitely he's on my bench is where he's at. I didn't get him in my main event or any of my big money auctions because he was hurt, right? So
I wish I could bench him. I have him in labor. I can't.
Yeah.
I have to carry this. I can't cut the guy. But I can't bench him. But oh my God, please send him down.
This feels like a mental thing with Royce Lewis. There were some comments during an interview. He's I feel completely lost right now. But the underlying numbers, they're not bad. He's making a crap ton of in zone contact. He's not swinging outside the zone a ton. His swing percentage is actually down. He's being more patient at the plate. Swing strike rate is down to 8%. Obviously a 140 BABIP is causing a lot of issues for him, but the average exit velocity is up, the hard hit percentage is up. I think Royce Lewis is going to be fine. And I think this is just kind of some, small sample silliness, as I called it on Friday.
Yeah, I love that, by the way. That was great.
I'm kind of glad that Minnesota has not sent him down, because this honestly feels a little bit like the Spencer Torkelson, issue last year, where the underlying numbers saying I think he's going to be okay. You should stick with him. Detroit did not stick with Torkelson, but so far Minnesota has stuck with Royce Lewis. I think he's going to be okay. As far as Brooks Lee goes, I like Brooks Lee. I like him as a guy who's perfect for a 12 or 15 team bench because he plays all 3 infield position and gives you that added flexibility. Again, an accumulator type that doesn't, really light up the stat sheet in any particular category, but can do a little bit of everything and plays every day. So I do like Brooks Lee. But yeah, as far as Royce Lewis goes, I'm not dropping Royce Lewis. If someone drops Royce Lewis in one of my leagues, I'm picking him up. I don't care what size league it is. Evan Carter working his way back. This would be another stash play. Any interest in Evan Carter, who is on his minor league rehab assignment, maybe back in the next week or so?
No. I mean, because the Texas offense has been horrendous, and this is despite the 11 runs they scored the other night against St. Louis. But I was looking at some data earlier this week. They have the best starting pitching ERA in baseball, and they have the lowest runs created, wins, WRC plus. They have the lowest. So it's you have all this awesome starting pitching and you have absolutely no offense to support it. It's and it doesn't show there's any good signs. Every now and then they have one good game, but for the most part, no. And I have Evan Carter in that aforementioned home AL league, and he's on my bench. Because I have him because he was the first reserve pick. And so I took him I took him in that, and he's not usable right now. Even when he wasn't hurt, he wasn't that usable. So I don't have, if I'm struggling to get him in my lineup in an 11-team AL league, I don't know how I can say, sure, go look at him in a 15 mix.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in Evan Carter. Like the injuries on top of the fact that he still has not figured out how to hit left-handed pitching, just is enough where like I just stay away from the guy. Maybe if you're picking him up off of a 15-team wire, I can understand it. But like even in his small sample, this year, like he was pretty terrible. He did steal 3 bases, which was interesting. But I just don't know that you're going to get enough production from a guy like a guy like Evan Carter before he gets put back on the IL.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And then for Stash, I don't know if you guys, I don't remember if you guys had talked about it, but it sounded like, since we're talking about Stash, like Parker Meadows could be activated as soon as tomorrow.
Yeah, we talked about him last week, which is why he's not on the rundown. But if he is available, that is someone I would go pick up,
especially opening against the White Sox. They have the White Sox, and they have, and then they have the Cubs. So they have the Chicago week. They have a 7-game week, and it's 4 at Chicago, the White Sox, and then 3 hosting the Cubs. So I just wanted to mention that because it's been we've been waiting a while for him, but Meadows has had a nice rehab, and it looks like he's going to be activated tomorrow.
Yeah, he should be back. Could be available it should be available in most 10s and 12s, but some 15s. So definitely go check out and see whether or not he's available. He should slide right back towards the top of that lineup, which has been really, really good. I know Paul and I have talked about how good Detroit's lineup has been this year, but like it's about to get a little bit better. Let's talk about Jake Mangum, who got activated. Everybody was really, really upset when Chandler Simpson got sent down for the activation, but as many bases that Simpson has stolen, he really hasn't been amazing offensively. He's just really been stealing bases, and apparently not a very good defender, though. I mean, I'll let you speak to that. The defensive metrics have been absolutely terrible. So it's not super surprising for me to see Simpson get sent down. But Mangum is a guy who came in yesterday, hit a home run his first game back. There is speed in the profile as well. 8 stolen bases prior to his injury. Are you picking up Mangum?
So a couple things. 8 for 8 in stolen bases so far at the major league level. And yesterday was his first career home run. And he hit it in front of his parents, where there's a nice video. His parents were filming on their cameras, and he hits a home run. So pretty awesome for him. And this is somebody that's worked his way up, and he's played a lot in Durham. A lot. I'm talking, we have plate appearance wise, he played in AAA rather. He's played AAA for the Mets, 158 plate appearances 1 year, 148. Then he had 515 with the Marlins in 2023. Then he had 428 with Durham last year. But athleticism, before he got hurt, he was doing great. 8, like I said, it was 8 for 8 in the steals. He was hitting for average. Us in the fan base, we call him Rake Mangum, because all he was doing was hitting. He was hitting to all fields, and he was doing what Simpson should be doing, and playing much better defense. I mean, like I said, they tried Simpson in center field. That was ugly. And left field, it wasn't great either. He made a couple of great plays, but his routes and his reads, and especially his throws, weren't there yet. And that's not going to get better at the major league level playing every day. I don't care how many bases. Like, I know he stole 5 bases on Thursday and Friday, or Wednesday and Thursday. That's not going to get any better at the major league level. Those skills, you have to go to minor leagues to work on that thing. So that's why he went down. And that's why Mangum made the major league club over Simpson coming out of camp. You're not trying to control the cost of a skill set in Simpson that is, it could be another Billy Hamilton, best case scenario. Billy Hamilton flamed out. You're not trying to cost control that. It is what it is. So you need to see, they brought him up. They saw what he is and what he isn't. Send him back to Durham. Let him work on these things. So yes, if I'm looking, we've said this a couple of times, if I'm looking for a way to replace Chandler Simpson steals, this would be a guy to look at. I talked with Todd yesterday. Caleb Durbin, like guys like that are on teams that run, that have the athleticism. These are some of the options you could look at. But Mangum's going to play. I mean, defensively, he looks good. He'll be out in left field every now and then. He'll get Morel will come in, but Morel, oh God, that guy needs to go. But he's out of options, so they need to find a trade to like the White Sox or the Angels or the Marlins to make that happen. But he's out of options. This is where I wish Major League Baseball would come up with some kind of capacity. Like, hey, if a player's under the age of 25 and they're already out of options, and because some team decided to burn it through and do whatever, it would be nice if there was some kind of mutually agreed upon 4th-year option where one more time you could send that player down. But if you call him back up, then all bets are off. It's like, I'm talking like a one-time use, not like a season use, a one-time use. Let him, but it has to be mutually agreed upon. And if the player says no, it's like, all right, fine, ride the bench or we're going to trade your ass. You're going to be a DFA situation. But it's crazy how a guy at 25 years old is already completely out of options. And he needs, it's stunting his development. It's bad enough that we do this with Rule 5 guys, but it's stunting development because he's not playing every day because you can't play the guy every day. But you can see the skills in the batted balls, but it's like he can't make consistent contact. They wrote an article the other day saying he's doing a really good job of mentoring Junior Caminero, which, okay, if that's his value, please keep him around. Caminero's got 4 home runs and 14 RBIs this week alone. He has 3 homers and 11 RBIs in this Houston series. This still has one more game. It's been great. But so if that's his value, then by all means, Christopher Morel can stay on this roster if he's going to help fix Junior Caminero, who's been playing really well of late. But I would like to see baseball make some kind of adjustment because it's just a shame to see option years burnt out so young on these guys, and then it becomes DFA city.
Yeah. As far as Magnum goes, like, yeah, I think this is the perfect replacement here for Simpson. He's obviously not going to steal, at the same rate, but he will kind of replace some of that value that you're getting. And like you said, he's just been hitting 329,
and he switch hits too.
Yeah. He makes a ton of in-zone contact, almost 95% in-zone contact this year at the major league level. I'm running the wire right here. He's going to be available in just about every league because I think he was dropped in most leagues once he was hurt. So
yeah.
All right, moving right along, we've got Wenceel Perez who playing with the Tigers. Now this may not last very long with Meadows coming back. Are you even caring at this point about Wenceel Perez?
Yeah, that's where I don't see the future. I mean, Perez has played center field every single day. He's on the bench today because it's the Sunday lineup, and we've got Javi Baez playing center field today. But Wenceel Perez has played center all 4 games, and that's where I kind of look at like how do they make this work? And I don't know how they make this work.
Yeah.
So yes, that's where I'm concerned about what's going to happen with Perez unless they decide to go, Colt Keith has been playing DH. Colt Keith is somebody that's very replaceable. He's been hitting third. I mean, you guys talked about the strength of that lineup, and Colt Keith's been hitting high in it despite a lack of results. And so maybe since Parker Meadows' issue was with his arm, maybe that's how they say, come back and DH. And then Wenceel Perez saves his role.
Yeah, I don't see it. I think Perez either gets sent down or becomes a 4th outfielder, which is probably where he actually belongs within a major league organization. As much as Perez, has been kind of a usable piece for the Tigers. Like he's striking out at a 43% clip. I know he's been in 308. But he's getting really, really lucky with a 500 BABIP so far this year. His XBA is 237. I think, maybe they sent down like Malloy. And then maybe Perez becomes their 4th outfielder. But I think
especially with Perez being a switch hitter, that kind of helps the situation. I was just looking at their lineups the last 6 days. How would you like to be Andy Ibanez? You don't play for 5 straight games and then you hit cleanup on Sunday.
Yeah. That's the life of Andy Ibanez right there. So all right, moving right along. We've got Tyrone Taylor, who's quietly been really, really usable, especially in deeper leagues. I've been rostering him in a couple deeper leagues, hitting 242, 301, 346, but 5 stolen bases and a home run. Any interest in Tyrone Taylor?
As long as he keeps playing on a daily basis like this,
Yeah.
yes, in a deeper mixed league, I can get on board with having him on the roster. Like, he's been hitting in the bottom part of the lineup, yeah, but he's playing. Now, you mentioned the steals, and we a lot of that, the steals were front loaded. He has had 1 stolen base since May 13th, 1, and he has 2 doubles and no other extra base hits. So deeper mixed leagues, and the fact that he's playing and he has been able to score just a handful of runs. So this may be like an 18-team mixed league situation. I don't know if I want him in a 15. There's just not enough counting, despite he's been playing, but it's been every now and then, I get a double. Hey, I get a run score, but there's just no counting category help. 3 RBIs in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, the problem is he's hitting low in the lineup. He's sitting 7th, 8th, or 9th. In this Mets lineup, which, I mean, it's a good lineup from top to bottom. I mean, right now, Francisco Alvarez, who's returned, he's hitting 9th in this lineup because it's so good and just, but Tyrone Taylor should be able to accumulate. He hasn't done a great job of it quite yet, but hitting 264 in the month of May, which is a pretty good sign for him. So I think in deeper leagues as kind of a reserve outfielder, he can make some sense, but probably not for your 10s and 12s. All right, let's move over to a catcher before we hit the pitchers we have for today. Henry Davis, for former first overall pick, he's been playing, somewhat regularly in Pittsburgh, and hitting for some power. He's got 2 home runs. He's only hitting 197, but he's got a 217 BABIP, so getting unlucky there. His XBA is 273. The most important thing for Henry Davis is actually making a fair amount of in-zone contact, 87% in-zone contact. Any interest in Henry Davis?
Thankfully, I don't have to worry about catching in leagues because I addressed it during the draft season. And normally this would be like, oh, yeah, I'm all over this because I spent $1 on some crappy catcher. And now I got to replace that $1. But I made a point to not do that this year. And so I don't personally have any interest in Henry Davis because I don't need him. That said, he has some skills. Problem is he still plays for the Pirates. And I know that they've put up some runs this weekend, but on the whole, they are an absolutely terrible offense. And they just there's just not much there. But if you are, I don't see him mixed league viable unless you are just absolutely streaming catchers. And it's like, who can I play? Who's got a decent schedule this week? And I look at the Pirates, they've got 3 at Houston. And he misses Hunter Brown, but he's going to have to play Framber Valdez, and then he's got 3 at Philly. That's a pretty tough matchup of pitching overall this week because he's going to get McCullers and the strikeouts there as well. And then the following week, they have Miami. They have Miami, and then they have 4. They have a 7-game week with 3 with the Marlins and 4 at Wrigley. Maybe NL League, but mixed league, I'm going to say no.
Okay. All right, let's talk some pitchers. It's not a great pitching list this week, but there are some names of interest. Bryce Elder, he's returning to the rotation for the Braves after AJ Smith-Shawver blew out his elbow. Any interest in Bryce Elder?
We're going to see, you're going to get a nice audition. He pitches today. So he's facing Boston today. And we talked about Boston's offensive challenges. So you'll get to take an audition to see how that happens. And then if that works out, his next start would be against the Giants. And then if that works out, his next start would be against the Rockies. So yes, there's some interest there with that schedule. But you have the audition today to see what's happening. It would be nicer if Atlanta's offense showed any level of consistency, though. There are some times where they're great. There's sometimes they just they can't hit at all. And it's just like Chris Sale. Chris Sale just shoved in the month of May and has 2 wins to show for it. Like he pitched to a 1.11 ERA, 106, something ridiculous, and he has 2 wins.
Yeah, it's really weird just because this lineup is fairly loaded, pretty much top to bottom at this point, and they just have not seemed to put it all together here. As a team, I feel like this is one of those teams, the Braves, that could really turn it on, like in the summer, like all of a sudden, like just become the hottest team in baseball. But they're digging themselves quite a hole Eight and a half games back so far of the Phillies and the Mets, who are tied atop the division. And they're even half game back behind the Nationals right now, 3 games under 500. So they need to get hot here. I think that Elder is one of those guys you're just, is kind of straight up 15-team streamer. But with this upcoming schedule, I think you can stream him here for a week or two and make things work. So deeper league streamer, but a guy that should be on your radar if you're looking to make those streams. Chad Patrick has been, in spite of the fact that he's got 2 first names and he sounds really boring,
trust him.
Yeah, he's been really, really good. 2.97 ERA and 62 2/3. He's got 57 strikeouts. Are you picking up Chad Patrick and kind of just rolling with him right now?
Did he just pitched yesterday? Was he the winner in that blowout game?
Yeah, he was.
Good for him. One of my best friends was at that game, huge Phillies fan, so I'd love that for him. Suck it, Glenn. So yeah, he had to. So I was looking at schedule, so he's got the Padres. So I'd like, when I'm looking at these options, I want to see what's coming up. So he'll have the Padres on Friday night with things, and then after that, the Brewers they go and they play Atlanta and then St. Louis. That's not the easiest schedule. Like, I'd rather have Bryce Elder than Chad Patrick in that capacity for matchups. But like you said, Patrick's getting the results. So yes, I'd be interested in a 15 team, but if I'm waterfalling things out, I would rather take my chances with Elder over the next 2 weeks than I would with Patrick. Because again, I can't trust anybody with 2 first names.
Yeah, he absolutely shouldn't. He's got 4 pitches that he throws, but he really doesn't throw the changeup too much, only about 5% of the time. He does a really good job of mixing his pitches. The stuff isn't overwhelming, but it's pretty good. My only concern is he does allow a lot of contact in the zone, and he throws the ball in the zone quite a bit. So I do worry that as things start to heat up across the Midwest, that he starts to get beat up a little bit more than he has. So far, he's been fairly lucky in the homer rate, only 0.7 homers per 9. And so it's a 5.7 home run to fly ball percentage. Like, that's going to go up, I think, as things start to heat up. But I don't know how you don't use them right now. The Brewers always figure out these guys, right? There's always a Tobias Myers. Yep. There's always, a Colin Ray kind of dude that kind of nobody's talking about, nobody knew about until they bring them up and they provide useful innings for a full season. So I think you have to kind of roll with this one and pick him up in the leagues where he's still available and kind of see what happens. But I do worry there's some massive regression coming for Chad Patrick.
Yeah, like I said, Milwaukee's got a good track record of making these things work, but the sustainability of it,
Yeah, I don't know how sustainable it is. Max Scherzer on his way back with his thumb injury. He's been out for quite a while. Any interest in picking him up and stashing him?
Sure, because like I said, Toronto's pitching a little, hitting a little better. The run support should be around, so I would take not prioritizing things, but if I lost out options, then he'd be somebody that I'd take a look at. I just don't know if you're going to get enough early return on that.
Yeah.
So it's the bottom of the waterfall bid type of situation.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. He hasn't even started a minor league rehab assignment, though I believe he is about to. The question is, like, how long is he's going to be out? And is the upside even warranted a stash like here? I think just in deep 15-team leagues, especially where you have IL spots that are open, I could understand it. I think outside of that, probably not. What about another stash play, Trevor Rogers?
So I picked him up in AL Tout the day he was sent down. So I picked him up. I have not cut him because as I said with Baltimore, it's like they're going to start trading some of these pieces that aren't nailed down, and he should be back up here at some point. And so yes, I've got some interest, but again, I need to see what that path looks like. When is Baltimore going to start selling off? When you look at the situation, because he has pitched. We've seen some of the results. Like I said, AAA is what it is. But the fact that Rogers was able to come up and pitch as well as he did against Boston is encouraging. But I'm not looking. The stash would be AL only. The stash is. I'm not ready to get in on mixed league stashing with him yet.
Yeah, I think I'm there with you. I mean, I love Trevor Rogers. I want him to be a thing again, but I'm not ready to buy it. Let's talk some relievers. The Marlins closing situation has been in flux all season long, and that's a really difficult thing when a team is not winning a lot of games and they're not committing to a single closer. Right now, it seems to be Ronny Henriquez of the Marlins. Do you care? Like, actually, Calvin Foucher got the save yesterday, and
he got two of them. He got two this week.
So,
but he also blew one. He blew a save and has 2 saves this week. So I don't care about Ronny Henriquez, because even if Calvin Foucher got traded, which again he should be, what you're talking 1 save a week, maybe 1 save every other week. And I mean, this happens on bad teams, even good ones. Yeah, I think the month of May, Pete Fairbanks had 2 or 3 saves for the Rays. That's it. And they played well, but the wins were big ones. The problem is the Marlins, they don't have a lot of big wins. They've had a lot of losses, and he's not. Yeah. So, but Faucher's out there getting it right now. So, Henriquez did get a win after blowing a save on Wednesday, but Faucher got the save last night after Henriquez and Bender got holds.
Yeah, this is why I stay away from these situations. I just think they're too volatile, and there's just not enough, especially when teams are kind of splitting the saves around multiple guys. There's just not enough meat on the bone to pick off. So when you're on a bad team, what about Robert Garcia, who seems to be kind of taking over the job there in Texas? He's been really good this year. Luke Jackson has struggled. Garcia has 3 saves, a 2.25 ERA. Any interest in Garcia?
Yes, because we know once Texas finds a reliever they like, they stick with him. And Luke Jackson has pitched his way out of favor. Who didn't see that coming? And so Garcia, yes. And this is why they traded for Garcia in the offseason. And they have other lefties. They don't really have to worry about that situation. So, yes, interest in that. Although he has one of the save opportunity. He had one of the saves this week, and the other one went to Caleb Bushley, who had one of those 3-inning specials because he pitched 37 pitches on Friday and was given a save for that big effort.
Yeah, somebody dropped Luke Jackson at the start of his struggles in TGFBI, and I spent a bunch of money on him and have gotten absolutely nothing from it. So I'll be dropping him this week. I do think Robert Garcia is the dude kind of moving forward. And as long as he can, pitch well, I think he does hold on to that job. I think you're right. Bruce Bochy is one of those managers who, once he finds a guy, he kind of sticks with him for the full year. So I think Garcia is the dude in Texas. So if you're looking for saves, I think he's probably your top option this week if he's still available. Speaking of, not really speaking of the Giants, but my Giants seems to have moved Camilo Doval back into the 9th inning. Any interest there?
Yes. I mean, Doval had pitched. He was getting the results. I know in our text thread, we were talking about it. It's like he had not allowed a run since like April 7th when the decision was made to put him back in the closer role. But Eno had said, hey, there's some other issues there too. And then you look at this week and the Giants have 1 save opportunity, and Doval was given that save opportunity and got it on Friday night. But it's been just that 1 save has been there. We could see some of the other skills, and then looking through some of the other results. That save, that's his only save until he had 3 in a row towards the end of April, and then went saveless until he got the one on Friday night. But we've still seen a lot of strikeouts, keeps the ball on the ground. And yes, for the time being, go for it.
I think what you just said right there is the operative phrase, right? It's for the time being. I do think they're going to go back to Ryan Walker once Walker figures things out. But I think for right now, Camilo Doval could be an elite save option moving forward. The question is just for how long. That being said, there's no guarantee Ryan Walker figures things back out. So if Walker continues to struggle, Doval can hold on to this job rest of the way and be really, really valuable. So if Camilo Doval is available in your leagues, you need to make him a priority pickup right here. All right.
Yep.
That is going to wrap us up for this episode. Jason, remind everybody you reached and plug anything you got going on.
So find me at Blue Sky, Jason Collette. Go check out the Ordinary Effort podcast. We said Justin will have the link, and you can see the time Justin and I spent together. Speaking of spending time together, it looks like Paul and I are going to spend some time together. He's coming to Charlotte this weekend. Yeah. He texts me and says, hey, I'm coming to Charlotte to see Paul Costava, and we're going to go to the Savannah Bananas game. I'm like, hey, so am I. So Friday night, I'm going to taking the family to Bananas. I'm not sure if they're going to the Friday or Saturday game, but so it'd be nice to see Paul in person at some point this weekend. And yeah, and good to record next weekend, but Father's Day out is going to Baltimore, and I may try out for the team, see if I can get on the field.
I'm sure you can. We'll definitely have to kind of figure out some recording schedules after next weekend. You and I will definitely be on next weekend, but then I've got, I think, 3 straight weeks where I'm either unavailable on Sunday or out of town. So
you have your summer camping trip coming up again?
Yeah, I got my summer camping trip and then heading to the city one weekend during June. So may need to move things around or just skip, but we'll figure it out. We'll be back next weekend for sure. You can reach me on all social media platforms, Justin Mason, FWFB, writing at Fangraphs and Fantasy Pros, and doing this podcast. And hopefully the Friends Fantasy Benefits podcast will be kind of re-jumping back into things here shortly. For Jason, myself, thank you for listening. Have a fantastic baseball season.
Thanks, guys.